YouTube! What the crap's going on? Welcome to the Glacial Lake, where we're going to be seeing the dwarves face off against the vampires. This is actually Wolf Wowaz. I've showed some of his stuff before, and he had a low-tier dwarf army here that's relying on buffs from Thorgrim, a runesmith, and I believe a master engineer. You can see, though, that there are a couple of unique units here, like the Grumbling Guard is a fantastic one because of the aura there, and then we've got the Thunders and Rangers, and the Vampire Army. Nothing different from what you'd expect, I would say, from a Vampire Army. There's gonna be Cryptors for plenty of armor piercing and poison, a little bit of Graveguard for some sturdy spots of infantry, though he doesn't have a lot, which is probably smart, because the Graveguard's not armor piercing. He's got a White King out here. Vlad von Karstein, and I really like the Claw of Nagash Mortis engine. You do have to be a bit careful with it because of dwarf and artillery, but once the vampires close the distance and they're able to tie up the artillery, you could then move the Claw of Nagash in, and it can be a real pain in the butt for dwarves to deal with. So let's just kind of see how it plays out. Looks like the dwarf player is going to turtle up just a little bit here. The dwarf warriors do have a charge defense against large. And then these Grumbling Guard are going to keep them fresh, which means their combat will stay good. And then Thorgrim gives them, I think, up to it's a pretty significant combat boost. Yeah, they're all the way up to 38 attack, 40 defense, and then the warriors with great weapons back here, 36 attack. So it's pretty impressive what they're able to do. Looks like he's going to use the Thunders maybe to try and ward off this White King that's coming towards his backline. So here comes the Horrors. So again, your typical vampire type attack. So slamming him with the Cryptors and the Meat Shields to try and dish as much damage as possible. The charge defense against large certainly helps. Claw of Nagash just pounding right into the center too. It's going to start ripping away hit points from the dwarves and slowing their units. It looks like Thorgrim's going to turn around and try and help take out the White King. Probably not a bad plan. And then you can see Wolf Wowaz is keeping most of his skirmish units within the protective cover of the units with great weapons. You can see the front line here is holding on. It is a nasty fight. Let's see what Vladdy Daddy's up to over here. He has raised some dead a little bit behind the lines here, but it hasn't gotten to the skirmishers. Though right here, the White King's going to put a charge in that will get to the skirmishers. But Thorgrim's still chasing him, so he's going to have to stay out of there unless he wants to take significant damage over time. Look at the Claw of Nagash just sitting here, and like I said, it's going to be tearing away hit points at a fairly alarming rate. You can see the Dwarf Warriors starting to fail up front, but now the Thunders and the Rangers getting turned around, and the combined might of these units putting fire down on the Claw of Nagash is going to be important. Now here the Vampire Lord Vlad just kind of clobbered right into the center of this. There's already a lot of stuff going in the center. Vlad should have worked around to the flanks and then raised the dead over on the flanks to keep the Dwarf Skirmishers from being able to accomplish this. Because without the Dwarf Skirmishers taking care of the Claw of Nagash, this battle would be completely over. Because the Claw of Nagash could suck away the hit points of the Dwarfs, and they could never catch it with the composition that they have here. So the Claw of Nagash strayed far too close for far too long without having the support of Raise the Dead to keep these units busy. And then the buff stack units up here for the Dwarfs just really holding out for a long time, and there's a whole second line of warriors with great weapons kind of waiting behind them. And then Thorgrim is quite safe in the back. This Master Engineer can give extra weapon strength to units, which helps out with armor piercing. Or maybe it's armor piercing, maybe it's just extra weapon strength. I don't remember, but he's got a pretty nice buff. And then the Runesmith, of course, is always good for, you know, your Rune of Wrath and Ruin and the Rune of Negation. I don't find the Rune of Oath and Steel to be very worthwhile, but those other runes are useful. So finally here, a spawn. It gets close to the Dwarf Skirmishers, but it's not close enough. So you see here the zombies. Again, if Vlad would have gotten around the edge of the army, he would have been able to put this spawn of zombies much closer to where it needed to be. Yeah, as we watch this fight take place, pretty brutal fight. Vampires getting all up in here, getting ugly. Looking nice, looking nice. So yeah, the Dwarf Skirmishers, a little bit of pressure from a couple of raised vampire units here. The Cryptors are badly needed in this front fight, or else they could peel off and kind of go towards this. I mean, the vampires are making significant inroads against the Dwarf Infantry. It held out for quite a long time, but the vampires are going to keep healing, and now the Claw of Nagash is back and is keeping its distance. And with these units broken up like this, the Claw of Nagash is going to be a much larger threat. Thorgrim's doing his best to keep the White King away, and he's succeeding temporarily. Wonder if these these Thunders might be able to shoot those zombies and get rid of them a little bit quicker. They degenerate over time, so these zombies chasing will eventually degenerate, and they shouldn't be able to catch the Dwarf Skirmishers, but even just driving them this far away from the battle is a problem. Let's see if he's targeting. He's not targeting the Claw of Nagash, he's targeting some Crypt Horrors right now, and that's pretty rough because the Claw of Nagash, every second that it's here, it's killing your men. And I believe it can cause terror and other stuff too, in which Dwarf Warriors are, they can be terror routed. Yes, he terrified there, one of them was gone. So some of these Dwarf Warriors can definitely suffer from terror. We got basically a big blob fight there. At this point, the balance of power is not looking all that good for the Dwarfs, but it's really going to depend on what happens with their skirmishers. If they put down the White King here, that's going to be a big victory. And the Thunderers could very well do it if they get another shot off. Oh, White King just plows on through. Let's just see what happens here. All the Thunderers need, yeah, one more good volley. There you go. So the White King's down, so that'll help the balance of power a little bit. The Runesmith's still alive. And some of the warriors with great weapons will do well. And now the skirmishers are no longer pressured. And the Claw of Nagash is getting hit by these rangers that are running away all the way over here from the zombies. Looks like the zombies are falling apart now. So that's the end of the zombie unit. And here comes the Claw of Nagash trying to get to these rangers and get rid of them. And it might. But it's, again, taken significant damage, and this has pulled it away from the main fight, where it's badly needed to help get rid of the rest of these Dwarf Infantry. And with Thorgrim back up in the mix, the Dwarf Infantry is just going to hold out longer. And now you've got these Rangers and Thunderers and other units back here. There's a few others that come back, and if they can start picking away at the Crypt Horrors, then the Dwarfs have a pretty significant chance here, because when the Crypt Horrors are lost, the armor-piercing component of the Vampire army is going to be gone. And without that armor-piercing component, the Vampires really just don't have what it takes to cut through Dwarf Infantry with any efficiency. I mean, Graveguard with great weapons do pretty good, but they're also pretty expensive. There again, you can see the Crypt Horrors taking fire. And depending on the magic level left on the Vampire leader, we'll see what happens here. But look at these Rangers out here duking it out with the Claw of Nagash. They're actually going to beat it in melee after it charged into them. Talk about MVP right there. Some Rangers taking down the Claw of Nagash. That's pretty clutch. So back over here at the main fight, you can see again the Rangers sitting back here firing in, and the Thunder is also firing in. So the Crypt Horrors are going to start to crumble and fall apart. And what was looking like a pretty decent fight for the Vampires is starting to swing back, and here comes Vlad. Now Vlad will be a little bit difficult to take out, but I don't know if Vlad's going to do particularly well against Thorgrim, who's 120 armor. He could do okay, but there's also this Master Engineer here, and there's a Runesmith, I believe, as well, unless the Runesmith got killed. No, he's not dead. Wait, yeah, I keep thinking I'm seeing he's not dead, but he's near dead. So losing the Runesmith would definitely be bad. He's got some nice buffs that you wouldn't want to lose, but at this point, you know, it's kind of hard to keep him safe as well. Let's take a look at what the Master Engineer provides here too, like just out of curiosity. He's got this one right here, the Rune of Slowness. It's constant, -8 melee attack, -4 charge bonus. That's pretty nice. And this one right here, constant around self, 12% weapon damage. So that's the buffs that he's getting from the Master Engineer. Let's check out the Runesmiths. So he's got the +8 leadership and the extra leadership and melee attack. So, and then Thorgrim boosts the melee attack as well. The Dwarfs will probably get a considerable number of these units back over here. They're being pressured a little bit by a Graveguard over here, and then out here some zombies are just being mowed down by the Rangers. These Rangers are firing in from a distance, but again, the Crypt Horrors are gone, which means that this fight is basically between Skeleton Warriors, Graveguard, zombies, and then Vlad von Karstein. And we'll see. Again, without an armor-piercing component, Thorgrim's not going to suffer a terrible amount of damage. And he dishes some decent attacks in melee blobs. See, he's got 64 kills, so he's doing pretty well so far. These Graveguard are going to get caught by a regrouped Dwarf Warrior with a great weapon, and they're going to take a considerable amount of damage. The Runesmith gets back in here too, and if it's got the Rune of Wrath and Ruin, it could cause quite a bit of damage. It's still definitely favoring the Vampires a little. There's a couple of opportunities here, though, for Woof Wowaz to get back in the fight. Yep, and he's going to bring these units in. That's exactly what he needs. And then again, skirmishers just kind of remaining out in the distance are going to end up playing a pretty key role here. So let's just kind of watch it as it plays out. Check out Thorgrim up here on his throne, grudging away at the vampires. Looks like he's pulling away for the moment, which might as well. You want to keep him alive. If Vlad was chasing him, then he definitely probably wants to avoid Vlad if possible. Look at that. Turns around and just charges right into him. I said he wants to avoid him, but I guess Thorgrim's had it. That's a grudging, Vlad. That's a grudging. Armored melee expert. Yeah, just trying to look at the two of these. Both of them have pretty good armor, but Thorgrim's stats are a little bit superior here. 485 weapon strength. It's not armor piercing, but he's got more weapon strength than Vlad. He's got more armor than Vlad. He's got more melee defense than Vlad, and roughly the same melee attack. So Thorgrim's a pretty decent match, it would look like. I sometimes forget that Thorgrim's not armor piercing. It's magical attacks that he has. So Thorgrim, he wrecks ethereal units. Like, just absolutely wrecks them. Look at the vampires crumbling apart. Look at the Master Engineer just, like, showing up out of the blob there like he was, like, buried in undead. That's pretty sweet. Let's end the replay. Check out the stats. Did y'all like that one? I enjoyed it. It was kind of interesting. It was just a nice way to take like all the different buffs that the dwarfs have to offer. And low-tier dwarf infantry is actually very good. In the campaign where you're playing against the AI, that low-tier dwarf infantry can be put to devastating use in early campaign, especially if you pair them up with someone like Thorgrim or Grombrindle. They can get some wicked work done. And so against the vampires here, yeah, the vampires did bring some elite units, but the dwarves were able to deal with it. And then, I mean, you look at some of the kills here. Look at this. 200 kills on a warrior with great weapon and 227. Yeah, granted, some of those could have been like raised up zombies or something like that, but still, even you look at the front line that got hit so hard by crypt horrors and still coming up with a pretty fair amount of kills from the dwarf warriors just because of the buffing. And again, the vampire player lacked a lot of armor piercing. The Sternsmen are not armor piercing. The Graveguard's not armor piercing. Grudgestein Stalkers, I do not believe, are armor piercing either. So he had to rely on the crypt horrors, and the crypt horrors were not kept safe from the skirmishers in the end, and ended up costing him the battle. So the Claw of Nagash can get around, and it can torment dwarf skirmishers, as can the Raise the Dead. So I'm thinking that Vlad and the Claw of Nagash and the White King all should have worked around the flanks in order to put that pressure on the skirmishers, and then maybe Nate the Great there would have been able to pull that one off. But I liked it. Well played by Waz, well played by his opponent. Hope you all enjoyed that one. Hope you all are enjoying these videos. I appreciate you watching every day. Thank you for those of you who support me, both in views, or those people who are donating to me on Patreon, subscriptions, comments, whatever it is. I appreciate all of it. It's all very grateful, and I apologize if I'm not responding to as many comments this week. I am on the road working. I do get to record these at night, but I don't know how much time I'll have to respond to comments. So if I don't get to you, I apologize. I still do read through them at the end of the day, trying to see what you all think. So make sure and leave your thoughts. HeirofCarthage signing out for now. I'll see you all soon.